What is up, guys? Brad here, bringing you guys another OBA week battle. This is actually week 13. This week we are going against Aaron and the Roaring Shadow. I actually think they've changed their name to the Proton Force now, so we're going against the Proton Force. Before the video does start, please drop a like down below. That really helped me out. Along, if you are new, please hit that subscribe button as well. We are currently going to this match 6-6. Coming down to the wire, week 13, we got 2 more weeks left. Or that's not week 2. There's 15 weeks. We got 2 more weeks left. Next week being against the Spring City Firefoxes, and then the last week, which going against the LA Selgor. So my opponent is actually number 3 overall right now. So really went to this match hoping to pull off a big upset. Hope you guys do stick to the end as well. This is a very good battle. Bringing some new unique sets. My opponent had a possibility to bring a plethora of things. I did predict him to bring the Darmanitan. I did predict him to bring the Ditto. I 100% predicted him to bring the Conkeldurr. Thought he was going to be bringing the Mega Steelix. However, he does not bring that, which I was kind of relieved in the team preview to not see the Mega Steelix. And I also thought he was going to be bringing the Seismitoad, which he did not bring as well. So that leaves a little bit of pressure off. But without those two being gone, it really makes Typhlosion useless with the Slowbro and the Gyarados being there. So Typhlosion is basically the useless link on this team with my opponent's team that he did choose. It also gives Ditto something to transform into. So that's a really bad on my side. Typhlosion was more meant for the Mega Steelix and the Torterra. He also did have the Gardevoir and stuff like that. So, bringing the Feraligatr this week, running a really different set. Not quite sure if Poliwrath would have did a little bit better in this match. I was debating whether to run defensive Resto Chesto Poliwrath like usual, or run defensive Feraligatr. Not many people know this, but Feraligatr actually has base 100 defense, which isn't really nothing to laugh at. I think Poliwrath has base, 90 defense, so either 70 or 90. So it is a little bit of a step up. That, and I really needed this thing. I'm running this thing completely wacko. Some people are be like, Brad, why the fuck are you running a special for Alligator? I'm gonna tell you guys my mindset behind it. The Mega Steelix, if I was a normal physical for Alligator, with Dragon Dance and Waterfall, the normal Steelix or the Mega Steelix would have walled me for days. Thus is why I'm actually running Life Orb, Sheer Force, special for Alligator this week. I'm running max defense, max HP, with the Dragon Pulse, Ice Beam, because it one-shots the Noivern. A Scald, it one-shots the Darmanitan. Even if I'm not invested in special attack, it 2-hit KOs the Mega Steelix, even if it is max special defensive. It does decent amount to the Conkeldurr if it is not Assault Vest, which I really predict him to bring Salt Vest anyways, just because my Sylveon's such a big threat, and he can at least eat up 2 hits from it, at least, with the Salt Vest. Then it one-shots the Torterra, gets a little bit walled by the Seismitoad, which was one of the things, and then it pretty much 2-shots the Gardevoir, so was one of those things. It was my Darmanitan counter as well. Darmanitan really runs through my team if it was Choice Scarf, which I actually predicted to bring either Banded or Scarfed Darmanitan this week. You guys will see in a little bit what he did bring, but very good. Not quite sure if Poliwrath would have did a little bit better. If I was running the Poliwrath, I would have run the same, the Circle Throw, the Scald, Ice Beam, and the rest on the Poliwrath with max defense, max HP. Not quite sure if it would have did a little bit better, but Poliwrath really wasn't looking too good because he did have the possibility of bringing the Torterra and the Mega Steelix. I lost my train of thought right there. Bringing Jolteon, standard set with the HP Ice, Shadow Ball, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt. This thing does an incredible amount of work. Also to actually bring a Choice Scarf Noivern just to outspeed my Jolteon. Either that or a Choice Scarf Darmanitan, which still would outspeed. Really, we had to look out for those two. Otherwise, it does a complete amount of work, except for it gets a little bit walled by the Seismitoad and the Mega Steelix as well. So, bringing Special Offensive, Mandibuzz. Was debating on whether to bring Heatran or not, but then again, Mega Steelix completely shuts down Heatran. one-shots me with an Earthquake. That and Conkeldurr is there too, which actually pretty much one-shots me if I'm not defensive with a Drain Punch. Then he had the Gyarados there too, so... And then you can always have, if I did bring Heatran, you can always go out to Ditto, set up his own rocks with my own set. So, Ditto I think is a really, really underrated Pokemon in this League-type format. Running Special Defensive, Mandibuzz, Max Special Defense, Max HP with the Defog, Flatter, Air Slash, and Tailwind. Tailwind mainly for my outspeeds for Alligator and Sylveon possibly, and maybe Mega Scissor if I'm in. I need to get Tailwind up and outspeed something. Bringing the offensive Scissor this week with U-Turn, X Scissor, Bullet Punch, and Iron Head. Max Attack, Max Speed, Adamant Nature. This thing was going to be putting in a lot of work. Gyarados was a problem with it, but however, it really puts in a lot of work. Even Darmanitan was probably the only real counter to it, but still, it gets two-shotted by Iron Head. So, if I can catch it on a switch-in, and maybe I can get a two-shot off on it if I needed to. Typhlosion run the Choice Scarf with the Hidden Power Ice, or not Hidden Power Ice, Hidden Power Grass for Seismitoad. Believe it or not, it actually would not one-shot even, but Focus Blast, Eruption, and Flamethrower. Choice Scarf Typhlosion, the main thing behind it was it pretty much one-shots the Mega Steelix, which was one of the big things that really walled a lot of my mons. That Eruption hits very, very hard. Even something that's resisted, example for the Gyarados, if it is resisted, it still does around about 45 to 50%. So even if you're going to be coming in on it, it's going to be taking a lot of damage. So that I'm Choice Scarfed, so I should be able to outspeed even the Darmanitan. That Eruption actually two-shots the Darmanitan, so I think it does around about 85%. Bringing Sylveon, Max Defense, Max Special Defense. This thing was meant to be more of a Cleric. Wish, Protect, meant to really patch Wish off mostly to the Alligator, just because I need that thing so much to counter the Darmanitan and the Conkeldurr, and even the the Gyarados. So that I really need to keep that thing healthy, and it has no form of recovery. So Wish was going to be one of those things I pass off to it, and maybe eventually the Scissor and stuff like that if I needed to pass something off. Got the Protect there, got the Hyper Voice because it hits very, very hard on most of his things. That decently counters the Conkeldurr, but however, if he is Iron Fist, Poison Jab, he does one-shot me, and if he is just normal Guts, he pretty much one-shots me as well. It does a max of 95%. So, got the Shadow Ball as well, just for Gardevoir and stuff like that. Gonna hop into this. I do apologize for a little bit long intro, guys, but I'm really hyped to get in this for you guys. Predicting to lead with either the Darmanitan or the Gyarados. He's actually going to lead with the Conkeldurr here. I really could not touch this thing. I'm actually going to go for the Scald right here. Just want to see if this thing was Assault Vest or not, and judging by the damage, it definitely is Assault Vest Conkeldurr. So that kind of sucks, and he actually does knock off my Life Orb, and he gets a crit, which, again, on turn 1 crit, not very lucky on our side. Life Orb being knocked off as well really reduces our damage, so our damage output. Gonna go with the Mandibuzz here, predicting a Drain Punch or something of that nature. Maybe double knockoff. I can take it at least decently well. I have decent physical bulk, even though I'm such defensive. Gonna go for the Flatter right here. I had nothing to really hit this thing with. I could have went for the Air Slash, but Air Slash still wouldn't really be doing too much. I think even hitting himself in Confusion does more than Air Slash would since he's Assault Vested. So we get lucky. He hits himself in Confusion the first turn. That does a decent amount of damage, probably even more than Air Slash would have did. So looking pretty good here. I actually predict him to switch out here and probably go into Darmanitan, which he does. That's why I'm going to set up the Tailwind right here. Darmanitan, if he was Choice Scarfed, he probably would have one-shotted me from this range. So really had to look out for this thing. Take a big risk on this next turn here. I really predicted him to go for the U-turn. Really no reason why not to, because it's kind of obvious for Alligators going to be coming in. I'm going to go for the Flatter here. Since the Tailwind is up, I do outspeed. That also does confirm that this thing is not Choice Scarfed. Otherwise, it still would have outsped me with the Tailwind since I'm not invested in speed. So I'm going to get the Confusion right here and actually get the Confusion hacks, which is decently nice since we got critted turn 1. It's only fair if we get a little bit hacks back, I guess. Gonna go for the Air Slash here, hoping to at least get some decent damage off. That does a decent amount for not being invested. We actually snag a Flinch right here as well, so at least taking this thing down decently well. Maybe if I had Stealth Rocks on one of my Mons, I could have really took this thing down a lot more, along with the Noivern and stuff like that, and the Gyarados. However, no Stealth Rocks or any hazards of any kind on my side this week, just because Heatran got shut down by so many mons. If I would have probably brung it in this match, it would have done decently well once the Slowbro and the Gyarados is gone. So T1's going to peer out here. I actually knew this thing was coming in to set up on me. It's kind of obvious, and judging by the damage, it is invested in special defense. I wasn't quite sure if it was fully special defensive, but I know it is slightly invested in special defense. I'm assuming it's probably a max defense, maybe a little bit HP, a little bit of special defense invested. Slowbro by what the calcs were saying. So, gonna go to Sylveon here. Predicting either a Scald or something like that. I was like, okay, well, he's just going to sit in here and set up Calm Minds. I'm going to go right out to Scissor Brick to another Calm Mind, because Sylveon's not able to touch him anyways. I'm not enough offensive. I'm not invested in special attack, even though I'm modest nature. Hyper Voice was still only going to be doing a max around about 34%. So now he's at +2, so he would have been at +2. So going to go to Scissor here. Really did not want to stay in and take a Scald. So I was really forced to go for the U-turn here, even at full. Judging by how much this U-turn does, though, I'm not quite sure if he's maybe max defense. Maybe he's special defensive right here by this damage. I wasn't really quite sure, but maybe an X-Scissor could have killed there, but it would be a matter of a roll. X-Scissor does around about 87 to around about 102%. That's if he was not invested in defense at all. He could have some defensive investment as well that I did not know about. So, really did not want to take that risk. Go right out to Mandibuzz, take a +2 Scald, get the burn. At this point, I'm really at a loss. I really don't know what this thing's going to be doing. I have not really for this thing. I can't go into Jolteon freely because otherwise it gets pretty much killed by the +2 Scald. Gonna have to rely on that Confusion Hacks again here. So we're gonna go for the Flatter, put this thing at +3, which kind of dangerous. Hoping for that Confusion Hacks. There's not really else I can do at this point. Going to Jolteon, it gets pretty much killed, and Jolteon is one of the really big players in this match because it one-shots the Gyarados and it does a lot of work to this thing still. It does decent work to the Noivern if the Noivern is not Choice Scarfed. So we're sitting here, we're just hoping for some Confusion Hacks. He goes for the Slack Off, which was kind of predictable. Maybe I could have went out with the Scissor right there. Put some pressure on. I'm not quite sure. Maybe Swords Dance Scissor would have been better for this match, but if I would have sat in and actually set up, Darmanitan every time can come in for free and kill me and kill something. So that's really the reason why I did not run Swords Dance Scissor this week as well. That and Mega Steelix really shuts it down if I don't have superpower or something like that. So gonna go for the Air Slash here, going for some little bit of flinch hacks here. That Air Slash does absolutely nothing. I'm saying probably only like 5 damage max. Probably that's what it's all doing. He's just going straight for the Scald. I was debating to go out to Scissor there, but I really thought he was going to take me out anyways, just to get rid of my Mandibuzz. Then I don't have a ground immunity anymore. So if it's Darmanitan wants to go for Earthquake or something like that, it can. Gonna go to Scissor here, put on a huge amount of pressure. This turn, I'm going to be going for the X-Scissor. He knows it. He's going to go right on to Gyarados. This Gyarados is a defensive Gyarados. Intimidate with Rocky Helmet. There was a possibility of him running defensive Gyarados, but more of if he did bring it, I thought he was actually going to be running setup Gyarados. Probably max speed, max attack, or something like that. Going to go right out into Feraligatr here. He knows I'm going to switch out. Maybe if I would have stayed in right there, an X-Scissor would have taken it out at -1. And would have maybe shoved this match into a little bit of a different spot for me if I would have stayed in right there. It was a little bit too risky though. Earthquake doesn't really do too much, but Scald was the best thing I could go for. Believe it or not, did more than Dragon Pulse, Ice Beam, or the Focus Blast. So Scald was the best thing there at Stab, Sheer Force boosted. Does absolutely nothing, and I have no possibility of getting burned because I am Sheer Force. Gonna go right out into Typhlosion here. I'm basically forced to go for the Focus Blast. There was a possibility of Ditto coming in, which I could not let afford Ditto coming in getting a Flash Fire, because at that point it was going to be GG if he was get Flash Fire boost, because I have nothing that wants to outspeed a Choice Scarf Ditto at Flash Fire boosted. Yes, Sylveon can take one, maybe Eruption from it, but it ain't going to be taking two when it's Flash Fire boosted. Gonna go to Scissor here. It was a matter of a roll, and what do? We get a low roll again. He did a max of around about, I think 20. It was like 29 to like 37% or something like that. We got a low roll again. We have to take a waterfall here, but we do live. I was like, okay, Scissor, you're a champion, but you're gonna be going on to Rocky Helmet anyways. So now it's a double down right here, which kind of does suck. This Gyarados put in an extreme amount of work to my team. I don't know, I've really been having a lot of problems with Gyarados lately. Mega Gyarados swept us one week. Now we had Gyarados making a little bit of a mini sweep here. I don't know what's wrong with Gyarados and me, but no offense to Gyarados. I just want to be on good terms with it for this next season, because I'm so sick of that damn thing. Let's go to Noivern here. The way he really sent this thing in, I really thought this thing was Choice Scarf. So I'm going to go to Sylveon here, see if this thing is Choice Scarfed. He's going for the Boom Burst here. I was like, holy shit, is this thing Choice Specs? Nope, he just got a crit right there. So we end up getting critted, which really does suck. Either at this point he's Choice Specs or he's Choice Scarfed. So I'm going to go for the Protect here. Get as much leftovers as I can back. He could have switched out and maybe into the Ditto or the Darmanitan, which probably would have been the best switch in for him. He could have went with the Slowbro as well and try setting up Calm Minds, but there wasn't really no way I could prevent that from happening at this point, because all I have left is my Jolteon and my Sylveon. Sylveon, at this point of the game, it all came down to if he did have the Poison Jab on his Conkeldurr. I get completely walled by the Slowbro anyways, once he starts setting them Calm Minds. So, there's a little bit of issue with this thing yet, so that's why I need to keep both my Jolteon and my Sylveon around. I do live a Boom Burst, able to get the Wish off here, which is very, very nice. Possibility of him being Choice Specs or Choice Scarfed, not quite sure yet. By the damage, I wasn't really quite sure if it was Specs damage. Gonna go for the Hyper Voice, take this thing out. There was a possibility it could have been Focus Sash too. I'm not quite sure, but no Focus Sash. We at least take this Noivern out, which is nice. However, though, the Darmanitan can come up and basically just pick up the pieces right here. He chose actually go out the Ditto though, which was a little bit of a questionable play. If I were him, I would have went on to Darmanitan because Jolteon, I guess, does outspeed, but then it gets completely walled by Ditto if I go for Thunderbolt and Volt Switch. So if I were him, I would have went on to Darmanitan and completely swept the game. But he actually chose out to go to Ditto, which is good for me because I can actually sit in here. He's Choice Scarfed. He has to lock himself into Hyper Voice, so I know I can at least take a Hyper Voice. It's a Ditto for Pete's sake, and I'm special defensive, so gonna get the Wish off here. He knows he really can't do too much to me right here. He's gonna know. He knows I'm basically forced to go for Protect. I maybe could have not went for Protect and went for the Hyper Voice, but if he would have stayed and went for the Hyper Voice himself, I would have died. So, gonna get the Wish back. At this point, this Darmanitan is a very, very big problem. We know it's not Scarfed at this point as well, so my Jolteon can outspeed this thing. The problem with that, though, is he does have that Ditto in the back, which can come in and completely wall me with Volt Absorb. So that's really the issues I'm having right now. At this point, I had to make a really, really quick decision. My decision was to sack off my Jolteon. The thing that really was more of a wing addition was my Sylveon, because it pretty much two-shots the Conkeldurr, even if it is Salt Vest, as long as it doesn't have Poison Jab, which could have came down to that as well. I'm going to sack the Jolteon off here, hoping this recoil amount would have been enough to take him out, but it is not. Going to go into Sylveon here. At this point, there was a possibility of him actually being banded, which did cross my mind right here. Going to go for the Protect to get the leftovers back. I could have walled the Ditto, because Ditto can't really do too much with me. I could have protected it, wished up against the Ditto and stuff like that. The really only problems would be if he had Poison Jab on his Conkeldurr, and if he probably walled me with the Slowbro instead of all over me. So by that damage, I'm actually max defense, so if he was not banded, I would have lived barely. So that does tell me he is Choice banded. So, and that is GG there. We actually get a actually my opponent picks up a 3-0. So Grassy Raikous. I don't know what the fuck we're doing this season, guys. We are now 6-7. I never really thought we were going to be higher in our losing differential than our winning differential this season, but we have 2 more matches. I'm not going to get down on myself, because at this point we're basically it's going in these matches YOLO. That's basically the mindset I'm going into these matches. I do want to prepare for them still, but If I do lose, I'm not really going to be too concerned about it, because at this point I'm out of playoffs at this point. So and the really only reason I can get into playoff is either one or two of the people in front of me lose both their other matches, and I actually end up winning a match. So there also is a possibility of actually me getting a forfeit for next week, which my opponent does sometimes do forfeit, but I really don't want him to forfeit, because even if he does forfeit, I only get a 1-0. And if I go into the battle anyways, there's a possibility of me getting a higher differential than a 1-0. So I might as well actually just take that risk, go in. If I get the loss, oh well, I'm done for the season anyways at this point. So just going to go YOLO in these last two matches. We got the Spring City Firefoxes next week, and then we got the Los Angeles Selgor for our last week, which is going to be one hell of a match. Hope you guys enjoy this. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below if you are new, and also drop a like to support this video. Hopefully we can pull it back again next week, guys. I know I keep saying this. I keep saying it every week. Yeah, we're going to be coming back next week. We're going to be pulling this win ratio back. It's not happening, but maybe next week we can pick up a win. I really don't want to take a forfeit win next week either. But if we do have to take a forfeit win, hey, we at least got a win. We got a 1-0, so I guess so. But I at least want to do a battle next week, so maybe I can get a higher than 1-0 victory. Maybe they don't put me back in the playoffs position if both people in front of me actually end up losing. So nothing I can really say, but hopefully you guys enjoy this. We're going to be coming back next week against the Spring City Firefoxes. Your coach, the Grassy Raikous. See you guys next week. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it.